We get a lot of emails asking about our underwater camera systems, so I thought I'd take a couple of minutes and give you an introduction to the cameras that we use to shoot Jonathan Bird's Blue World. So in the first season of Blue World, we were shooting in standard definition. In the second and third and fourth seasons of the show, we were shooting in HD or high definition. Now, for the fifth season, we're shooting in 4K or ultra high definition. This is the main camera system that we use. It's actually a standard Sony 4K camcorder in a Gates underwater housing. So the housing is sort of three parts. This is the main body of the housing. The camera's in here, and we have all these little controls that actually push the buttons on the camera so we can do them through the housing. Like here's the focus. And then on the top, there's a viewfinder, and this is actually a monitor. There's a viewfinder for your eye on the back here, but it's pretty small. So this big one on the top, it's like I have a big television set right on top of my camera so I can see what I'm doing underwater. And it swivels, so if I want to swim sideways, and I want to still be able to see, I can shoot sideways and I can still see what I'm shooting. It's very cool. It goes up and down, left and right. Then on the front, there's a lens. This is a big lens made by Fathom. It's very, very wide angle. And the point of that is because underwater, you don't always have very good visibility, so you have to get close to things to be able to see them. So then you need a really wide lens so you can get everything in the shot. So this is a wide angle lens, and because it has a lot of glass in it and it's really heavy, the camera would go boom if I didn't have this float. So this is a float made of syntactic foam. And it's not compressible. Even when you go deep, it doesn't get squished like your wetsuit and lose its buoyancy. It stays buoyant. And this float helps keep the camera level underwater, so I don't have to fight to keep the front end up. Of course, I got a big lens cap too to protect the lens when I'm carrying it to the water. So I'll show you what's inside. It's actually nothing particularly fancy. So inside is a basic Sony FDR AX1 4K ultra high definition camera. Just like that. And then inside here, the camera has buttons on it. And by moving these controls on the outside, I can push the buttons and I can turn the dials and I can adjust anything on the camera through the housing. Now, there's only one downside with this camera. It weighs over 40 pounds on land. So, it's great to shoot with in the water because it's so massive that it doesn't like to shake. It goes smooth. But to carry it on land, oof, it's hard. So, this is not the only system that we use underwater. We also use this little guy. This is also a Gates ultra high definition housing for a Sony ultra high definition camera. But this housing takes a much smaller camera, so the whole package is way smaller, more compact. This is actually a better camera system for a lot of things. Like for example, if you're shooting little things close to the bottom, that camera is big and clunky. This camera is small. It can get into little spots and shoot little things really well. It also has a nice wide angle lens, so it can get those wide shots. The other thing that's cool about this is that it's so small, you can fit it in a backpack and take it on an airplane, which is really cool. But the one downside with a housing this small is that it's really hard not to shake it. So you have to be really, really good in the water to be smooth with it and not jiggle your shots. So that's the only kind of downside of a really compact housing. But this camera housing is wonderful. So those are the two camera systems that we use to shoot Jonathan Bird's Blue World.